Guys, we got to talk about Bitcoin because it just had a massive dump on the 15-second time frame. No, I'm just playing. But listen, we actually do need to talk about Bitcoin because I think something is about to be crazy, okay? I think something crazy is about to go down. And believe me when I tell you, I am the very last person that wants to make this video. Why? Because I've been saying for how long now? People are too bullish. You're way too bullish. You're way too bullish. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely still think that people are way too bullish because they're talking about like 250K, 500K, and all that mumbo jumbo. But if we hide our TA here and we talk about what's actually going on in the grand scheme of things, I do believe it is important for us to remain objective when it comes to trading. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I don't care if it goes up or down. I have a preference, but I don't care. And so today we're going to talk about which direction I think Bitcoin is going to be going next. Now, listen, let me just start by saying this, okay? We have been consolidating for quite some time, as I'm sure you've known, and Bitcoin's been relatively boring, but it is the most important now to be paying attention to Bitcoin when Bitcoin is boring, because this is what our dear friends, market makers, the market makers do, okay? They bore the shit out of us for months on end, and they decide, okay, eventually we're going to have a massive pop-off. And when we do have that massive pop-off, a lot of people are going to get wrecked because they're going to FOMO in, and they're going to FOMO in the top, or they're going to, whatever the case is, right? A lot of people are going to get wrecked. They're not going to expect it. And most importantly, a lot of eyeballs are going to come onto crypto. So my views are going to go up. So make sure you hit the like button to help the algorithm. But anyways, listen. So we've been consolidating, okay? We've been consolidating. We are actually in the high of the range. And although right now it's looking like things want to go up, and we're going to go over why in just a second here, we do need to remember that it is not up only, okay? Despite what all of these crazy-ass accounts on Twitter are saying, no, guys, you are too bullish. It is not up only. Yes, it's probably potentially going to go up, but it is not up only. So don't be those guys that FOMO the very top, okay? However, we are at the high of the range, and objectively speaking, we shouldn't be overly bullish at the high of the range. But what are we seeing at the highs of the range this time as opposed to the last time that we were at the highs of the range? Well, if you are a retail trader, which I'm assuming all of you are, because if you were market makers, you wouldn't be watching this video, then you saw this inverse head and whatever. I don't do the head and shoulders thing, but you are seeing that. But more importantly, what we're seeing over the past few days here, or past couple weeks rather, in May, is we are actually holding the upper half, okay? And we are holding it with what I would say relative ease, okay? We have very, very low volatility in this range. And that's important because if we pull up one of our OG best friend indicators, our Bollinger Bands, we can see that on these midterm to high time frame, significant time frames. What am I saying, Geo? Anyways, on these higher term time frames, you can start to see that these Bollinger Bands are starting to contract, okay? And like I said, this is what happens whenever price consolidates consolidates aggressively, okay? Where there's no volatility. Although that kind of sounds like an oxymoron. But anyways, whenever price consolidates as much as it does here aggressively, your Bollinger Bands really start to contract. And that is where we get that kind of trumpet effect, okay? Where it right? That's where we get the trumpet effect. And that's typically when we see a larger move, and especially when we see them on the higher term, midterm time frames, like the 4-hour time frame, okay? Now, these Bollinger Bands, similar to Market Cipher B, similar to your EMAs and everything else, will leak onto other time frames as well. So relative to the 18-hour Bollinger Bands, where they are usually, okay, they are starting to contract as well because, your 12 hours are contracting, your 8 hours contracting, 4 hours contracting, we already went over, your 1 hour is contracting, etc. Okay, this weekend volume that we had and this weekend range that we had, give or take, is relatively, in my opinion anyways, the least volatility we have ever seen. And we're starting to see that move to the upside coming out of that. You see that trumpet effect, how it kind of starts to go and then it pushes upwards. Now, this might be indicative, if that's the right word, I don't know if it is, of the move that we might have at hand here. Okay, we might have this move at hand here, suggesting that we're going to get this continued move to the upside. However, in order for, in my opinion, us to seriously start getting real breakouts and start heading towards all-time highs and potentially even higher, we really need to start seeing that follow through, and we really need to start seeing that follow through ASAP, okay? Because we said that these different time frames leak onto each other, and as they leak onto each other, it is important to note that they can also fake out into each other as well. And what I mean by that is on the 3 hour, 2 hour, it doesn't matter what time frame. We're on the 2 hour. Let's use the 2 hour for now. On the 2 hour time frame, we started to have that move, yet we're already pulling back, and we never really had that follow through relative to our Bollinger Bands, okay? Now, what did we say? Your 18 hour is very relative to 18 hours. It is contracting, okay? Your 12 hour is starting to contract. And so if your 2 hour or 3 hour Bollinger Bands start to reject, this might be, once again, indicative of the 18 hour or 12 hour in this case rolling over and giving us that kind of trumpet effect to the downside. So we need to be aware of that. Okay, we very much so need to be aware of this local range. And I believe that if we start losing the lows that we put in over the weekend, we could get a significant move to the downside, probably down to around the 63K area. That's where I'm looking down towards. Now, before you freak out and you're saying, Geo, there's going to be a big move. Why are you talking about it being to the downside? But the title is it's probably going to go to the upside. Well, because I think this is a very important range. I'm not a news trader per se, and I'm definitely not a newspaper, so I don't know what the news that's coming out this week is, but other influencers and other YouTubers are talking about the news and the data and how this week is going to be very important in crypto. This is what I will tell you. I'm a technical trader. I don't care about the news, but the technicals right now are telling me that a big move is coming. So I do believe that this move could be very much so influenced by whatever the news is that comes out later this week regarding whatever might happen with the feds, not feds. I have literally no idea. But this move might happen on or around that day, which I'm going to look up after this video because I don't have time for that right now. Anyways, so here's where I'm at right now. Locally in the range, okay, we covered how this was very low volatility. We covered how these Bollinger Bands were really Bollinger Banding at this point, and we're starting to get that move to the upside. Now, we need to see the follow through ASAP, okay? I want to get into a giga-long position, and I am hoping to go on YouTube Live tomorrow or the day after saying, guys, I got in my super giga-long position, and I can show it, and I could show the P&L and whatever. I'm hoping for that. In the event that I see what I want to see in terms of confirmations at the zones that I'm looking at. Now, the most important level, in my opinion, right now for Bitcoin, if you want to mark it on your calendars, I'm on BTCUSD.P on Bybit, is 66625, okay? This was the low that we had put on Friday, and this, to me, at this very moment in time, is an absolute point, okay? An absolute point is a point in which it makes sense for price to not return to. Now, this is not a term you found anywhere because I invented the term absolute point. There's no one that could have made a stupider term than I, okay? So to me, this is an absolute point. And why is it an absolute point? Because we swept out all these lows from these for the past like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however long this time frame was. This time was last week. Okay, and then we had that follow through to the upside. So if we come over to coinalyze.net, it is a free tool that can help show you the CVD, which is essentially your longs against your shorts, okay? And there are two ways that I use CVDs. I do have videos on them. If you would like to go check them out, go click on there, right there, or there, whatever. I don't know which direction. Anyways, there are two ways that I use them. Number one are for entries, and number two are for range-based models, where right now, like I said, the range is very much so ranging, and the Bollinger Bands are very much so Bollingering. And so when you take a look at CVD over a range, this is the 2 hour time frame. What we can see here very clearly is that open interest is increasing, meaning the commitment of traders putting their money down, opening positions is increasing. And the majority of those positions are opening as shorts, okay? So this means that more people are shorting. Yet, if we were to take our draw tool, and I mean, it doesn't need to be at exact points, but we're going to take it from here. You could see, and I can just move these guys over too. It doesn't need to be from that exact point necessarily. But you can see over time, since we made that absolute point, okay, that further one about a week ago, More people have been shorting, yet price is struggling to go down. This is, once again, the key word, indicative of retail trying to short while the smart money, and you guys know we trade with the smart money on this channel, are essentially limit longing. Okay, so a lot of these positions are getting absorbed into retail longs. And if we come back to, or sorry, into retail shorts. And if we come back to our into retail shorts, and if we come back to our chart here, you can see that because we're getting these wicks at the lows. Remember, it's extremely low volatility, but we are getting these wicks at the lows, indicating that price may want to move higher. Now, if you take that entire narrative and you move over to market cipher B, let's say you don't know anything I just said, and all you know is market cipher B. Objectively speaking, on the daily time frame, we got that white dot indicating momentum to the upside, but I want to specifically talk about the 3-day money flow because we've been talking about the 3-day time frame for about 2.5 months now, ever since we put in this high. We've been talking about how this is not looking like a significant high on the more macro term of it, and how the number one rule that I invented when it comes to market cipher is the thicker the money flow, the more chances of divergences. I don't know about you guys, but I don't see any divergences here on the 3-day time frame. And so this is very much so reminiscent of a move to the upside. Okay. Now, again, I am the last person that wants to make this video because if it was up to me, I think Bitcoin is extremely overvalued and I think that it needs to go way down. Okay. I personally don't think Bitcoin is of value until we see a Bitcoin probably that starts with a 4. Okay. Like 43K is probably where I would say that it should be at. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think or what I want. It matters what is. And what is Bitcoin is looking very bullish right now. And so I do want and I do hope to get into my gigalong position at the perfect entry so that I can go on live and kind of flex on the kiddos a little bit. But listen, I mean, these higher term time frames, thick money flow. I don't know about you. I don't see any divergences here on the 3-day time frame. Okay. 2-day, obviously looking like the same. White dot here on the 2-day. The weekly, same thing, right? No divergences locally. Now, we've been talking about the divergences over over the different cycles, okay? Because we are absolutely diverging over cycles on Bitcoin, but that doesn't mean that we can't come and take the high again, right? So I've said it very publicly. If we take the high, if we SFP the high, I think it is very bearish. If we range not so aggressively above the all-time high, I think it is pretty bearish, right? So at the end of the day, I'm a trader, okay? At the end of the day, I'm a trader. I do not care which way it goes. I literally don't care. People think that I quote unquote missed the boat. Guys, I didn't miss anything. I don't have enough skin in the game regardless. I don't know about you guys. I don't have life-changing money in the markets. So I trade it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. If Bitcoin goes to 0 tomorrow, it won't change my life. If Bitcoin goes to 1 million tomorrow, it won't change my life. You know, I'm not super exposed. It literally doesn't matter to me. But right now, objectively speaking, things are looking bullish. So I'm going to be paying attention to the most important level, in my opinion, which is 66625. Because I think if we start losing this, then we're coming down to around 64K, which, you know what? I've also publicly said on Twitter that I think 64K is going to come first before all-time high. However, just based on like how bullish CVD is right now, I don't know if that's going to happen. And, you know, I live in reality, okay? I am prepared to take trades in both directions, and I'm aware that, you know what, yeah, it could come down to 64K, but it could also blast up to 100K before, or not 100K, oof, I just sounded like the people that I hate. It could blast up to all-time highs before ever making its way back down to that area. So, guys, that's what I'm seeing right now. I'm going to be looking for gigalongs, and last time we were up here and I was looking for gigalongs, we ended up dumping a pretty significant amount, okay? So with everything that I just said, I do think it's very important to understand, I do think it's very important to remember that Bitcoin is still in a range and we're at the highs of the range, and this is not the time to be overly bullish on Bitcoin. Not when you're at the high of the range. However, as a scalper who can get in on any time frame at any moment he wants, I can ride the wave up or down. either way. Guys, if you like the content, hit the like button. If you loved it, hit the subscribe button. And listen, we're back on stream tomorrow. Hold me accountable. I'm going back on stream every day because things are about to get spicy and we're trying to make some money. And most importantly, guys, can't stop, don't stop the beat.